Good morning to you. My name's Alex Robertson, and this is More Man in the Morning. Hello, welcome to More Man in the Morning. This is the interactive Simpsons channel, which has everything Simpsons related, Simpsons dedicated. This is from top 10s to voice actors you didn't realise were in The Simpsons, to those classic episodes that you kind of forget about, all the way down to episode reviews, episode previews, and anything in between to do with The Simpsons. Anything to do with Simpsons in news, anything like that, will be all on this channel as we get the ball rolling. But today we're focusing on the age-old question, which is, what state do the Simpsons live in based on facts in the episodes? Now, a little bit of a disclaimer here. Matt Groening revealed that Portland, Oregon was the basis of The Simpsons. All the street names and that are the basis of the characters. We're going to take that into consideration that a couple of months later he did actually say it's not where The Simpsons are located, it's just where a lot of the locations within the city are based. So we're going to take that into consideration, and we're going to say that we're going to nullify that, and we're going to go based on what we've seen in the actual episodes. Now, a lot of this information will also include newer episodes as well, so this is based on all 27 seasons of The Simpsons, all 550 plus episodes. We're also basing it on whether or not there's actually Springfield in that city, which would automatically eliminate it. We're using information from Wiki Simpsons, the Simpsons Wikia, and also from other YouTubers that have done this. Quite a lot of them get stuck on the last 6 states, and there's always one state that will always appear in those 6 states. In fact, one YouTuber got down to 3 before he said, can't decide. We're going even further. We have got one state that just proves, based on what we know in The Simpsons, that The Simpsons live in that particular state. It may ruin your perception. We've also got to go on the basis that Matt Groening and his team may actually base it on the fact that every state is Springfield State, or that it's a completely fictitious state based on things such as that West Springfield is 3 times the size of Texas. The only state that could be 3 times the size of Texas is Alaska, and Alaska isn't 3 times the size of Texas, so it wouldn't even accommodate West Springfield. Things like that you've got to take into consideration. This is based on what we know from Simpsons Wikia, to eliminate it down to one state which has a realistic chance of being the sole state that provides for Springfield, Shelbyville, and Capital City, amongst other districts as well. So, let's get started. Okay, so throughout this we're going to see Simpsons screen caps, and also we're going to see an interactive map. When we eliminate a state, that state will go grey. If a state is being brought back, we'll change it to orange. And of course, when we get to the final 6, those states will be put in a darker grey, and the state that Springfield live in will turn green. So let's get the map up now. Fantastic. And we're going to go through them in alphabetical order, and we'll also mention whether or not a specific state is coming. We're going to come back to it. Okay, so we're going to start with Alabama. Alabama was eliminated in the episode They Saved Lisa's Brain, which is the episode where Lisa goes and joins Mensa, the high IQ society. Dr. Hibbert specifically says maybe I should move back to Alabama, hinting the Simpsons don't live in Alabama. That means that Alabama can be eliminated. Alaska. Couple of pointers for this one. In the episode Fear of Flying, Quasi Crown Airlines say that they can go to any state in the United States other than Alaska and Hawaii, also known as the Freak States, which automatically kind of assumes that they don't live in either of those 2 states. Maybe they do, maybe they're saying that you can't travel to your own state, which would be a bit pointless, seeing as quite a lot of these states are larger than the United Kingdom, and you can easily travel between cities in this state via airplane. Also in the Simpsons movie, the Simpsons move to Alaska and they are distinctly seen crossing the Alaska border, meaning that they don't live in Alaska. So Alaska can be eliminated. Arizona, there's a couple of reasons behind this one. In the episode Kill the Alligator and Run, when Homer goes on spring break to Florida, Arizona is one of the only two states that the Simpsons are still allowed to live in. Still allowed to visit, in fact. The other one being North Dakota. Homer then points out that Arizona smells funny, and Marge then immediately crosses Arizona off the chart. This implies that they don't live in Arizona. Also, there is no place in Arizona called Springfield, which automatically eliminates that state. Arkansas. In Dancing Homer, it's revealed that the state capital has a Major League Baseball team. This eliminates about 10 states, but we'll go through them as we get through to them, which eliminates Arkansas. California. In the episode Aunt Maggie Makes Through, when Homer's working at the bowling alley, Homer talks to a young shoe shine that works at his dream job. He promises the young boy that they'll somehow make it to California. This again implies that they don't live in California. Colorado. In Little Big Girl, Marge mentions that Bart and Darcy have charged £200,000 worth of bubblegum to Homer's card in Colorado, which will eliminate Colorado. Connecticut. There's no Springfield in Connecticut, so that's already eliminated. In Changing of the Guardian, Marge tells Homer how if they die, their kids could become wards of the state. Homer replies, Connecticut. Marge replies, no, our state, to which Homer yells. Therefore, Connecticut is not the state that they live in. It's a big clue, big elimination there. Quite a lot of these as well will be based on whether or not they actually mention a specific state. For example, if they lived in Texas and they're travelling between two cities in the same state, normally in America they won't mention the name of the state if they're travelling to a city in the same state. For example, if you live in Houston, you're travelling to Dallas, Texas, you would just say, I'm travelling to Dallas. You would forget the Texas bit, unless you really like saying the word Texas, like rich Texan guy. However, that's going to be a basis on quite a few of the states, and it could be actually the difference between eliminating one and it not making the final 6. So, back onto the search. Delaware. In the episode Simpsons Tall Tales, the family say that they are travelling to Delaware. There's also no Springfield in Delaware, meaning Delaware is eliminated. Florida. In the episode Bart vs. Australia, Homer says that next time Bart commits a crime, he should commit it in Orlando, Florida. Another hint that they don't live in Florida. And also in the episode Kill the Alligator and Run, Homer is asked to go on vacation, of which he's told to go to visit, he says, why should I visit America's Wang? Of which his response is, they prefer to be called the Sunshine State, which eliminates Florida. He wouldn't talk negatively about his own state unless he really, really hated it. Which he might do, you never know. But that's what we're going to go on the basis of. Georgia. In the episode Homer versus the 18th Amendment, Homer asks Marge, what about that freezer lady in Georgia, and trying to console her about being the world's worst mother. It's also in Bar on the Road, Nelson says that he wants to go to Macon, Georgia. Another reason that Georgia can be eliminated is because they wouldn't mention the same state if they're travelling within the same state borders. Hawaii. There's many clues as to why the Simpsons don't live in Hawaii. Number one, it has been made obvious they don't live on an island because they can travel over borders. You can't do that in Hawaii because it's an island. There's no Springfield in Hawaii, which is another reason why we can safely eliminate Hawaii. In the episode So It's Come to This, The Simpsons Clip Show, Homer is said to be taking the family on a vacation to Hawaii after he wakes up from his coma, which obviously indicates they don't live in Hawaii. Also in the episode Burns, Verkoven die Kraftwerk, I'm really sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Horst tells the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant alcoholic employees that we're going to a 6-week drying out facility in Hawaii, which is another reason why they don't live in Hawaii. There's many other reasons as well. It's also in Crazy Crown Airlines in Fear of Flying that it's one of the 2 freak states that they're not allowed to travel to. So it's a bit of a clue. Also with Lisa, I think it is. It's either Lisa or Bart. One of them saying Alaska, one of them saying Hawaii. Obviously, in ties Lisa that they want to go there on a vacation. They wouldn't actually live in that state. Idaho. We're going to come back to that one. That's one of the ones that gets near to the end. Illinois. Also going to come back to. So we're going to turn that one orange. Indiana. In Kiss Kiss Bang Galore. Kiss Kiss Bang Bangalore. Homer believes that he's taken a job in Indiana, when in fact he's being transferred to India. Obviously, he must know what state he lives in. If he thinks he's being transferred to Indiana, then it means that they don't live in Indiana. Iowa and Kansas are being eliminated for the same reason. There's no Springfield. No Springfield in there. It's the only time we really see these states actually being mentioned, other than for West Virginia, which we'll get back to in a bit, which also mentions Iowa. Other than that, there's no mention of these states, which could be a hint that they live in one of those 2 states, apart from the fact there is no Springfield in them, meaning that they're being eliminated for the purposes of this video. Kentucky, we'll get back to this one. There's quite a few things that hint towards why Kentucky could be it, but we'll come back to it, because it means that we get to go down to the final 5. Louisiana. In the episode Radio Bart, Chief Wiggum is specifically mentioning a piece of machinery from Shreveport, Louisiana, becoming in order to get Bart out of the well. It also means that, once again, them mentioning about a state that using the state name, meaning they've got to go over a state border, meaning Louisiana is gone. Maine, we'll get back to. Mainly so we can see what it did there. No, forget it. It also means that we can come back and mention about some of the other reasons why Maine could or could not be the state the Simpsons live in. Maryland. In the episode Lisa the Iconolist, settlers travel from Maryland in order to find Springfield, but they find Springfield by accident. They're not going to find Springfield in their own state. They travel for miles. So therefore, Maryland can be officially eliminated. Massachusetts. In the episode 30 Minutes Over Tokyo, Homer negatively refers to Massachusetts as Taxachusetts. Once again, we're going on the basis that Homer wouldn't speak negatively about his own state, especially in a foreign country, meaning that Massachusetts can be all but safely removed from this list. Michigan. In Take My Wife's Sleaze, after Homer calls Chief Wiggum saying the Hell Satan's have kidnapped Marge, Chief Wiggum is noted for saying, "We've got a little saying around here, let Michigan handle it." Meaning that they wouldn't say let Michigan handle it if they're actually the state police of that state. Meaning Michigan can be eliminated. Minnesota we'll come back to. Mississippi, there's no Springfield in Mississippi. It's also one of 2 legal states where you can sell children, according to Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Principal Skinner is noted for saying that the selling of boys is only legal in Springfield State and in the state of Mississippi. Once again, hinting they don't live down to Missouri now. Apologies, we had to change. We had to restart the camera, so there's a bit of a jump, but we do apologise for that. Missouri. Superintendent Chalmers says that Springfield was voted the worst elementary school in Missouri, which he then goes to say that it was torn down and moved here brick by brick to the current state, meaning that they don't live in Missouri. Montana, no Springfield. Only piece of evidence I could give to it, so Montana, out. Nebraska, we'll come back to. Nevada, no Springfield. Also in the episode Viva Ned Flanders, Homer and Ned try and run away from their wives, which is apparently unconscionable in Las Vegas. When security and other Vegas residents kick Ned and Homer over the state line, it's implied that one, they're no longer welcome in Nevada, and also two, the fact that they don't live in that state. If they're being chucked over the state line, they would only be chucked out of Las Vegas, at least for a period of time, meaning Nevada can be eliminated. Also in the Simpsons movie, it's noted that one of the 4 states that border Springfield is Nevada. New Hampshire can be eliminated because in the episode E, Pluvius Wiggum, Lisa mentions the date of Springfield's presidential primary is earlier than New Hampshire's primary. In fact, it's been moved a week earlier, as noted in the episode by the reporters. New Jersey, in the episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer and Bart drive to New Jersey with the intention of destroying Edison's hinged chair. So, New Jersey can be eliminated. New Mexico. There's 2 clues for this one, and they're both pretty much the same. Both Homer and Mr. Burns are noted for having a distinct lack of knowledge of the fact that there's a New Mexico. In fact, Homer says, "Ooh, there's a New Mexico," in shock, and Mr. Burns, in his old ways, almost tries to deny the fact that there is a New Mexico. So, we can eliminate New Mexico. New York. In the episode 22 short films about Springfield, Principal Skinner is noted for making up the word steamed hams and saying that it's an upstate New York expression. Also in the City of New York versus Homer Simpson, Homer is noted for loathing New York. However, that could be hinted to the city, as many people in upstate New York do loathe the actual city and the Manhattan district. So it could be noted that they just don't like the city rather than the state, but it's highly hinted that they don't come from that state. North Carolina. In the episode Bart Mangled Banner, Mayor Crumpy compares the national hatred of Springfield with Bart's moving the US flag, similar to that of Hit the City, North Carolina, before they changed their name to Charlotte, hinting that North Carolina is not the state that Springfield live in. North Dakota has no Springfield. Ohio, in the episode Homer and Apu, the Quickie Mart is noted for being Stop-O Mart in Ohio, whereas the Springfieldians have the Quickie Mart, it hints they don't live in Ohio. Oklahoma, no Springfield. Oregon, as we mentioned earlier, Springfield is based on the Oregon city, not located. In the We're on the Road to Nowhere, Homer takes Bart to a discipline camp in Portland, Oregon. This means the state Springfield is in is not Oregon, even though Matt Groening said it was based on it. It means it's not located. Read the disclaimer, people. Pennsylvania. In Marge Gamer, Marge says, "Kids, get in the car, we're going to Pennsylvania." The Flanderses move to Pennsylvania in Home Away from Homer. Another hint, but they don't live in Pennsylvania. Rhode Island, there's no Springfield, and also in Pymoglian, Lenny notes that Moe's liquor license is only valid in Rhode Island, meaning that he has to then say he needs to get it updated for this state and also make it legal. South Carolina we'll come back to. South Dakota, in the episode Kill the Alligator and Run, the family discussed what states are still welcome to visit, of which they say one of the states is North Dakota. And Bart exclaims mentions that he always wanted to see Mount Rushmore, of which Marge then says it's in South Dakota. Also, a fun fact, which you didn't already know, Mount Rushmore has never actually been featured in The Simpsons, although it has been imitated in both the episode The President's Day Pageant, I can't remember the episode name off the top of my head, of which they have it right at the end when they're saying about purchasing some orange drink, and also in the episode I'm Spelling as Fast as I Can, when Lisa comes back and they reveal Lisa's head being carved on the edge of a cliff as a well done for coming second and it being the proudest thing that's ever happened to the city. However, the actual Mount Rushmore has never actually been featured. Tennessee. In Barton the Road, Lisa tells him they need an item sent from Tennessee to Bart to courier. He also apparently travelled too long to and from Knoxville to live in the state via car. That is debatable, bearing in mind that Texas is a lot larger than Tennessee, meaning that could apply to anyone. However, that's what it says on Wiki Simpsons. Blame them, not me. Texas. In Curse of the Flying Hellfish, Grandpa Van Houten says that he's won a chili cook-off in Beaumont, Texas. In Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 2, Chief Wiggum says that no state in this country will arrest a baby. Well, maybe Texas, implying they don't live in Texas. And in Old Money, the Ghost of Bee says that they've got her haunting a family in Texas. Meaning Texas can be eliminated. Utah. I hope I pronounced that right. There's no Springfield in Utah. In Bart's comment, after Principal Skinner discovers Bart is responsible for the balloon prank, Bart sends Reggie to Utah, to Millhouse. Also in Homer vs. Lisa and the Eighth Commandment, Bart is watching the Top Hat channel, a known adult channel. This channel is not available in Utah or Florida. In Little Big Girl, Bart and Darcy travel to Utah to get married, meaning they can't get married in their own state, meaning they don't live in Utah. Vermont. In the Canine Mutiny, Laddie, Bart's new dog, is from Vermont. Virginia. In Bart vs. Caesar vs. the third grade, the Capital City Governor, who's that Capital City goofball, states that the state flag, which contains the Confederate flag, is an embarrassment, particularly as they're a northern state, which apparently means that Virginia doesn't count, despite being in the north half of the United States. However, for this all intents and purposes, Virginia is eliminated. Washington State. In Little Big Girl, Bart and Darcy pass through Colorado on their way from Springfield to Utah, eliminating any state west of the Utah-Colorado border. So that eliminates all the ones this side of the map. Also, Washington DC is eliminated because they are known for not living in a district, meaning the District of Columbia is eliminated. For anyone that mentions that I haven't mentioned Washington DC. West Virginia, in Moaning Lisa, Lisa Wells, the Iowa farmer, Iowa mentioned again, whose land has been taken away by uncaring bureaucrats, and the West Virginian coal miner. Mr. Largo explains that none of those unpleasant people are going to be at the recital, meaning that Mr. Largo is confident nobody from another state is going to visit this recital, meaning that we can eliminate West Virginia. Wisconsin, that Tony told Apu his false identity was born in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Once again, mentioning the fact that the state means that they don't live in that state. It also could make it a lot more believable that Wisconsin, that Apu wasn't actually born in the same state, to make it more believable that he was able to travel here when he visited the Springfield Heights Institute of Technology. And finally, Wyoming. When Homer is coaching Apu for an immigration test, Homer first points to Chicago, but Lisa corrects him, saying, "You're not pointing anywhere near Springfield," and points out the correct location. This time, Bart walks in and blocks a view. However, before he blocks it, Lisa's already pointed at where Springfield is. Wyoming is still visible. Therefore, we're able to eliminate Wyoming. So, we're now down to 5 states. We've eliminated 45 states, and we're now down to just 5 states. The first of the ones we're going to eliminate is Idaho. In Dancing Homer, as we already mentioned, the capital city has an MLB baseball team, meaning that Idaho can be eliminated on that basis only. It can also eliminate, let's have a look. Can also eliminate Nebraska and also Minnesota, apparently. South Carolina is eliminated based on the fact that in a Simpsons episode, when they visit a prep school, Homer says he'll pay for any college Lisa wants to go to in South Carolina. Once again hinting South Carolina is not a state for Springfieldians live in. We're now down to 3. Maine, Kentucky, and Illinois. Maine can be eliminated based on the fact that in E. Publius Wiggum, Springfield hosts a presidential primary. Maine doesn't host a primary, it hosts a caucus instead. From what I've learned in American politics, if you want to know more about American politics and about how primaries and caucuses work, it's definitely worth researching in your own time. Also, in the Simpsons movie, Maine is one of the 4 states that border Springfield, although no state actually has that characteristic, meaning Maine can be eliminated. Kentucky can also be eliminated based on the fact that Patty and Selma work at the DMV. In Kentucky, it's not known as the DMV, it has an alternative name, meaning Kentucky can be eliminated alongside the fact that in the Simpsons movie, Kentucky is eliminated based on the fact that it is one of the 4 states that border Springfield, which means we only have 1 state left, Illinois. In one of the episode intros from season 20, when the screen zooms out of the universe the Simpsons have, it zooms out of Illinois. Big hint there. Subtle, but big. There's a real city called Springfield and a real Shelbyville in Illinois. Shelbyville located 63.6 miles away from Springfield. There's also a Lake Springfield in Illinois, of which Springfield is located within its borders of. Public square found in the Springfields of The Simpsons is very similar to the one in Illinois. In the centre of the square, there's a statue of Abraham Lincoln, much like that of Jebediah Springfield. In Radio Bart, the Lincoln squirrel which was assassinated was also murdered in Springfield. Illinois is considered Lincoln's home, so this could widely encourage the Illinois theory. So, there you have it. Illinois is, according to The Simpsons and according to the facts that we've seen in the episodes, Springfield is in fact located in the city of Springfield, Illinois. Maybe we've missed something completely obvious, maybe we've missed out a big fact that rules out Illinois but brings in another state into contention. Let us know in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, and also remember to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these videos on the YouTube homepage. Let your friends know whether you liked it or not. You know, more views the better, all that. Also taking comments for the next couple of videos. Make sure you put them in the comments below, or you tweet #MomInTheMorning. I've been Alex Robertson, and I'll see you in the next video.